So I'm back to have another little chat again tonight, and this one I'm not going to show you anything. I'm just kind of here to talk and really kind of talk about photography and why I got into it and what I've noticed with other photographers and some things that I think that photographers do that are quite unfair to the customers that pay for their services, which I've been noticing lately and hearing stories that there's been a lot of things, and it really kind of upsets you as a photographer to see that people are actually, you know, doing things to hurt their customers, because when you take pictures of people and for people, these are moments in their life that, you're capturing. Like if you're taking wedding photos, you're capturing a moment for someone. And if you screw those photos up, if you don't get the right moments, things like that, or newborn photos or anything really, those are things that people can't redo. Those are photos that people can never get back. So, and that's really the reason why I myself got into photography. Now, I'm hoping that I can get my partner to sit down here sometime soon and kind of give her view on it as well. I think it'd be kind of neat to see. I think she's got similar views than I do anyway. But I, I've always been into photography. I didn't start professionally, until recently. Not obviously not recent. Anybody that knows me kind of knows how long I've been doing this for, but and I had a very specific reason for deciding to take it on as a profession, because I myself was one of those clients who had photos done for something and I never got those photos. I will never get those photos, and it didn't matter how hard I tried, begged, pleaded, and cried. I there's moments in a certain part of my life that I'm now missing. Um, and I hated that feeling, and I still hate that feeling today, because again, I those are things that I'm never gonna get back. I'm never gonna see them. And there were some really special moments that I know the photographer captured that I just don't have, and it sucks. Um, I don't want anybody to ever feel that way that I photograph anyway. I mean, obviously, no, there's going to be people out there that feel that way with photographers, and that's why I really got into it, because I want to make sure that if I'm shooting photos for anybody, that they're getting what they want. They're getting what they're paying for. You know, you want your special moments to last forever, and that's what photography does. And if you're a photographer and you just can't do that, then you shouldn't be doing it at all. Because I mean, you're really not holding up to what you're supposed to be doing as a photographer. So that's why when this happened to me, I went and got a camera and I looked up schools, and I graduate in June with an associate's in digital photography. I mean, at some point or another, I will go back and get my bachelor's. I just have been doing, in school since right after Oliver was born, and this whole first year of his life, I've been bogged down with school. So like I kind of want to break from it from a while, but at least I'll have that degree. And I mean, honestly, I think me going to school was one of the best things that I could have done, because there's so much that I learned in the process that I feel like I may not have gotten from trying to learn from another photographer or going online, because I'm really, with all the assignments that I do, a lot of the time I'm getting really good feedback from professors, and now I'm utilizing all that feedback, and it's really giving me some great photos and showing me how to work, my lighting correctly, and just anything and everything that you really need to learn about photography. And how to work your camera and your lighting and your posing and everything. Like I'm learning in school, and it's definitely worth it, and I feel like it's going to pay off in the end for me. Um, but I'm baffled again by how photographers treat clients, and like I said, people go to you to get their wedding photos done, and that's a big day for anybody. That's something that, you want forever. And obviously, yes, people at your wedding will take pictures and people will record things, which is great. I mean, it's always nice to have that extra, you know, bit there going on, like extra people shooting things, but you're paying for a photographer to be professional, and if that photographer isn't capturing what you wanted, or they're not giving you all of your photos, you know, most of the time when you have a photographer for a wedding, you're paying for basically all day. You're paying them to be there while you're getting ready. You're paying them to be there while the guys get ready. Your ceremony, your reception, your family photos, everything. And if a photographer is only giving you a couple hundred photos after being there, you know, for 8, 10 hours, then there's something really wrong, because I feel like they're really not doing their job. I mean, I can go to a 2 to 3 hour event and end up with 1,000 photos. So I feel like a photographer that only, you know, hands you back a couple hundred photos, there's just something not right. And then I had a friend who went to go get some pictures printed, and the photographer, and yes, my cat is on the counter. It's his thing. I had a friend who went to go print some pictures, and, you know, she had said, hey, this is coming up low resolution, you know, do you know what's going on? And I said, yeah, send me the pictures. I'll see what I can do. So I put the pictures into Photoshop, because, you know, Photoshop has an option to change the resolution of an image. Now, being in school, I've been taught that really with resolution, a lot of photographers, and they teach you, you know, with all of your images in school, to lower your resolution down to about 120 to 150. And that's a lot for the fact that, you know, we're uploading these images to the dashboard for school. So obviously being a lower resolution makes it easier to download. It's not as big as a file and everything like that. But if you're a photographer, you should be giving your clients high resolution images. There's absolutely no reason why you can't. And when I pulled this photo up in Photoshop and I looked at what the resolution was, it was like 72. And I was appalled. And I know why the photographer did it. That photographer did it, and I will not name names, and I will not say who the person was. They know who they are, and if they watch this video, I'm sorry, but it's really a good example of really what photographers shouldn't be doing to their clients to begin with. But this photographer lowered the resolution so that this person would have to go back to her and pay for higher resolution images, or she would have to order prints through this photographer. And that's just not right. It's not right at all. I mean, I'm sorry, but they paid good money for the service. Then you should be giving them high resolution images, and they should be able to go wherever they want to print those. Like, and most photographers are that way. If you look at a photographer's contract, most of them say right in there, you know, you'll get high resolution images. But for this one photographer to do that, and just this whole process that, you know, my friend went through with this photographer, was just appalling. I couldn't believe just how lazy and sloppy she was with how she handled her job. I mean, I've done a couple weddings, and I'm still working on getting more. Obviously, I probably haven't done as many as this other photographer did. And I mean, her photos weren't bad. None of her photos are bad, but it's just when I take photos of somebody, usually, you know, my sessions are morning, afternoon, whatever. So by that night, I try to at least have a couple photos up as a sneak peek on like Facebook. That way, you know, these clients can see at least a couple shots of what I've gotten. And, you know, I know in some kind, like I know with my wedding photographer I have, It's in the contract. It states right in the contract. By the end of the week of your wedding, they will have a sneak peek up. Great, okay, that's perfect because that's stating right in the contract, you know. But don't tell people that you're gonna have photos up and then just not do it. And then, but their wedding was on, you know, if your wedding's on a Saturday and there's another wedding on a Sunday, don't put that Sunday wedding up first before you do that Saturday. Like, you always do things in order of what the, you know, who your client was. So that Saturday wedding should be before a Sunday wedding. Like, anything that you do with them, it's just how it works. I mean, it's in all fairness. But I just, like I said, I'm appalled at some people. And, you know, I posted that video about the over editing, and that's another issue that I see with a lot of photographers is just crazy over editing, making things way too dramatic. And, you know, I love like black and white images, and I like some of the like grayscale images, but some of the times I think that photographers just get lazy and don't really put a lot of time and effort into their editing. And they're kind of just like, meh, whatever, you know. They're not going to look that much into it, but a lot of people do, you know, because some people are self-conscious about things. You know, that's why the other video that I posted, I went in and I did teeth whitening and, you know, a little bit of skin smoothing and things like that. So that way, you know, if people are a little self-conscious about themselves, then that makes them feel a little bit better. You know, they're like, hey, you know, I look really good. Not that they didn't look good before. I'm not trying to say that whatsoever. The photo that I edited for that video, I think the girls all looked amazing, and they all did a really great job on that. I'm really proud of how that shoot went. Um, but I guess I have different values than other photographers out there, and it drives me crazy that people could just be that rude and that nasty and hurt someone like that that's paying for services. It just, like I said, it baffles me. I don't know. I just don't understand how they can sleep at night. I mean, I bust my butt with what I do, and I try to make sure that everybody's happy, and I tell people flat out after I've done their photos and I've edited them and I've put them up, I'm like, if there is anything that I have done that you want me to change, if there's something that you see that I may have missed and you want me to fix, let me know. I will fix it. That's what I'm here to do. That's my job. Like, this is what you paid for. So I'm going to make sure that you are getting what you paid for. And granted, you know, we don't charge outrageous amounts for shoots or anything like that because, again, this business is new for us, and we're trying to be fair with, you know, what we're working with. We're working with a small studio. Obviously, once the weather gets nicer, things will be easier to go out and shoot outdoors and things like that. But I'm not going to charge someone right off the bat $300 for a session. That's just not fair. I mean, once our name is out there more and we're, you know, well known in the area and we really have two legs to stand on and we know that we're going to make it, then obviously, yeah, things will change, prices will increase, and that increases as your business grows. And that's obviously what we're working towards. And right now we're trying to get a good foundation and a good client base. And I know that, you know, before I joined up with my partner, you know, I had my own startup and I did well. You know, I had a lot of the same clients, which is fine. I love my clients that I have, and I love the repeat clients because that right there makes you realize, you know, you're doing something right if they keep coming back to you. And I just, I don't know. I'm rambling in this video. Yes, I know. It's just, it's been going through my mind a lot lately. And I really wish people would understand, like, if you're a new photographer starting out, great, good for you. Like, I really hope you succeed. But you also need to learn that there's things that you should be doing, and I really think that anybody that becomes a photographer really should take some classes, whether it's online, whether you just take some classes and get a certificate, or you go get a degree, or you go to, there's local studios that offer classes, the colleges offer classes. Go take some classes because you really do learn a lot. And, with your composition, your lighting, your editing, it's a big deal. I mean, I've seen some photos where it's simple little things, and I'm guilty of this. I've had a couple images where my backdrops are a little wrinkled, but I try to fix that before I post any photos. I really make sure that, everything is wrinkle free in the back, and it's hard to keep backdrops, you know, unwrinkled. I have a vinyl white backdrop, and that thing, for the life of me, just doesn't want to cooperate. So, I try to go in, and when I'm editing the photo, I try to make sure that that is fixed. And if you're taking photos of people, make sure that everything looks the best. And if it's something that you can't fix there and then, try to fix it before you post the photos up, because then, people are going to go in and look at it and be like, well, it's kind of sloppy. And right there, you're not going to get that client again, because they're going to see that your work was sloppy, and they're going to go find somebody else to do it. It's simple things, and again, it's people starting out that are new with it. Obviously, don't think about these things, but as you start to go along, there's things that you really start to notice where you're like, man, I really need to step up and make sure I'm paying really good attention to details. And it's going to stick with you once you start doing it. The way that I edit my photos now is the same every time. I do the same things with all the photos I edit, because it's basically, stuck in my brain at this point. I go in, I check my exposure, I check my shadows, my highlights, adjust the whites and blacks, adjust the, tint and tone and everything like that. And then I go in, and if I need to make adjustments to specific areas, if I need to make adjustments to the backdrop because maybe one of my lights was hitting the backdrop a little funny, I try to go in and make sure that those things are fixed so that things look even. It's the same with every single photo that I edit. And excuse me, like I said, once you start doing it, it's going to stick with you, and you're going to continue to do that same process every single time. So I really think my issue is with other photographers. Not that I have an issue, and obviously, yes, you're in competition with a lot of people. Photography has become very big. Everybody seems to want to do it, and that's great. I think if you have an eye and you have a knack for it, then do it, because it's even if you don't want to pursue a career out of it, it's a really great hobby. And with me being in school and having a small child, I don't get to get out as much as I would like to be able to do nature shots. And being winter, obviously I'm not going to drag my son outside to go walk around and shoot photos. If I want to do that, I make sure somebody's here to watch him, so that way he doesn't get dragged out. It's different when it's nice outside. Last spring and summer I had him out, and I would walk around and take pictures of stuff, and he enjoyed it. But if you're going to make a career out of this, make sure it's what you want, because this isn't a cheap career. I mean, you put a lot of money into this, and I've been lucky enough that with being a college student, and this is what I'm going to school for, I got a second camera this way. I got my lighting kit this way, and I love my lighting kit. I am honestly so glad that I got that through school, because that would have been a huge expense for me otherwise. And we buy backdrops here and there if we see things, and my partner and I have really great places to buy backdrops, and we really have gotten some really cute ones. I'm actually excited to try the newest one out that her daughter got for her. We just need to find a good shoot for it. But you put a lot of time and effort into this, and I spend a lot of time up in the studio tearing up or tearing down, and putting things back up and trying to fix things. And we You have to maintain bulbs and outlets and cords and, just make sure that everything's working properly. Your lenses, your camera, like, even with equipment down here on the computer, having my Adobe programs, I pay for that monthly. We pay for the printer and the ink. Well, not the printer itself, that's already taken care of, but the ink, you have to maintain keeping up on the ink. It's not cheap. It is not cheap by any means, and it's really, I know when I started school, they went through with you an orientation on how much that's going to cost you, and it's a lot of money. So you really have to make sure that if you're going to do this, you have to be fully committed to doing it. And then you have to make sure that you do right by your clients as well. And it really, that's a big thing that I still can't get over. Again, it's different ethics for everybody. I mean, some people are fine with how they treat others. They're like, well, you know what? You paid for it, so I'm going to do whatever I want to do, and that's that, and there's nothing you can do about it. And unless you have a contract that specifically states things, then chances are, no, there's probably not anything you can do, which sucks, but that's honestly what contracts are for, too. But like I said, I just don't know how people can just do that and be okay with it, like the resolution thing. Giving somebody really low resolution photos to make sure that they have to come back to print things out through you and order photos through you. Well, that's, there's ways around it, obviously. We fixed that one really quick. But because I didn't think that was fair, and again, I wasn't impressed with a lot of things this photographer had done to my friend, so sorry. I mean, you don't screw people, especially with wedding photos. I mean, that day is stressful enough as it is, then to have to worry about your photographer screwing up or just being a horrible person in general. And like I said, I know I've rambled and I've probably repeated myself a bunch of times in this video, but this is something that I honestly feel passionate about because, again, I said that this happened to me. I was screwed with photos, and that was really my tipping point to do something about it and to make sure that, from here on out, anybody that I come across that I do photos for, you're not getting screwed. You're getting what you wanted. Anytime I do photos with people, like, I make sure, hey, if you have ideas, you send them to me. I want to see what you're thinking. I want to know what you want beforehand, and thank God for Pinterest, because people can just send whatever ideas they have, and I can keep them right on my phone in a folder, and when that client gets here, I'm like, okay, let's pull it up and see what we got here. Or, I obviously look beforehand, but it's nice to know what your client wants before you're getting into it, because that way you can make sure they're getting exactly what they wanted. And the other thing that drives me crazy with some photographers is when you're shooting a photo, first off, the first thing you do is you take a test shot no matter what. Take that test shot. Look at your camera, make sure your lighting is correct. If it's not, fix it. Make sure everything looks correct on that screen before you just start clicking away. Because once you start clicking away, there's no going back on it at that point, and you're 30 photos in, and then you realize, oh crap, these pictures are way too dark or they're way too exposed, and there's no fixing anything that's way too dark or way too exposed. You can fix it, but it's not going to look like it should. So, make sure that you're checking those, because you're also taking photos, and if you don't stop and actually look at what you're taking, the posing could not work, Maybe somebody's head is turned funny and you're just not paying attention to it. And then your client's getting these photos back and this person's head's crinked off to the side, and you're like, oh yeah, I probably should have fixed that, while we were there doing it. That's always a huge thing. Always, after like 2 or 3 photos, always stop and look. You don't have to do it every single photo. because then you're just going to take twice as long. But if you take a couple photos in a row and then you're like, okay, I'm going to stop for a quick second, hit your play button, look back through those 3 photos, and you're like, okay, they're good, you know, then you move on. If they're not good, you fix the problem and you go back to it. And again, that's another thing that once you just start doing it, it's stuck in your head. And I know that we do that. I mean, we're always constantly pausing, looking at our cameras, and a lot of the time we'll turn and, you know, show somebody a picture and whatnot. And we try to sometimes set it up in the studio where while we're shooting, we have it connected to the computer up there so that you can actually see the image come up on the computer. But sometimes the cord's not long enough for that, so it kind of becomes a pain when you're trying to shoot and you can't reach that, you know, you're stuck in a spot because your cord doesn't go long enough. But there's really just a lot of things that I've noticed now that I've been doing this, and that, you know, I have training. Obviously, not a perfect photographer. I don't claim to be, and I never will be, because if you say you're perfect, you're lying. You will never have absolutely perfect photos. Nobody does. It's just not possible. I mean, you can have near perfect photos, but they will never be perfect photos. There's always something that you're gonna have to go in and fix, no matter what. And I mean, it's life. It's photography. It's part of the game. That's what you do. You know, you take the best photo that you can, and then if you have to do a little tweaking, you have to do a little tweaking. No big deal. It doesn't make you a bad photographer. That's part of it. I mean, I know with me and my camera, sometimes it looks brighter on the screen, so I'm like, oh great, you know, my exposure looks really well, but then I transfer it to the computer and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, it's a lot darker than what I thought it was. So there's things like that happen all the time, you know, with people, and you might think that you have this really nice, great exposed photo, and then you go to put it on your computer and you're like, well, no, that's not what I thought it was. It's a learning process. You're always going to learn something new. There's always going to be something new to learn. And again, like, I feel like if you think that you're a perfect photographer and that you can't learn anything, then you're crazy. And that's why I'm in school doing this, because I want to make sure that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do things properly. And, you know, for my business class right now, we're going through and making business plans, and we had to come up with a mission statement. And I really hate the generic mission statement, and I'm guilty of doing a generic mission statement just because it was for class and, you know, I wanted to get the assignment done. But if I really was going to put some thought into making a mission statement, which I'm not saying I shouldn't, but I don't want to give you that generic, you know, we're here to capture your moments. No, I'm going to flat out tell you, obviously in the correct words, that I'm not going to screw you over. I'm not going to not give you your photos. I'm not going to make it so that you have to order your pictures through me so that I make more money. No. I'm not in it for the money. If I was, our sessions would cost a lot more if it was for the money, because obviously being in a small town that has other studios, we're competing with other people, and we're just trying to do things right by people. That's all I want. I just want to do things right by people. I want to make sure that the customer is actually satisfied with what they're getting, and that they're not going home after a photo session and thinking, that really didn't go well, and, you know, that photographer, I just don't feel like we're going to get what we should out of it. There's my mission statement. You're going to get what you came here for, and I'm going to make sure of that. You know, it's tough, but again, that's what I'm here to do. That's my job. This is my life. This is my passion. You know, I took this on, and I knew it was going to be a big challenge, and that's what I want. I want the challenge, and I'm going to make sure that I give people what they want. And, you know, you're not going to miss the moments if you come here, because I'm going to make sure that I'm constantly snapping photos, whether it's posed pictures or getting candid pictures, because sometimes those candid pictures are some of the most stunning and perfect photos, because you're catching someone glimpsing at each other that you wouldn't get if you were posing them. You know, there's a big difference between posed and casual and comfortable and just being yourself. And I really wish that a lot more people would be that way. But again, it's, you know, my ethic, my work ethic, and how I feel, and, you know, my passion drives me to make sure that people are getting what they deserve. And that's really it. That's what I want. You get what you deserve, and you don't want anybody else to go through what I went through and feel like, you know, it's been a while, and I still hate the fact that I don't have these pictures. Obviously, I take enough pictures as it is, you know, but it just sucks when you know that there's photos that you're never going to see and you're never going to get back. It's moments, you know, special moments that you just want to have. But I'm done rambling, because I've rambled for a while now, and this is what happens when I'm home by myself. I'm going to have more videos coming, and like I said, I'm hoping to get Miss Wendy in here to kind of sit and chat with you guys too. If anybody has any like thoughts and ideas on any videos, feel free to comment and say, hey, why don't you try doing this? You know, we try to record sometimes during some of our sessions. I feel bad we meant to when we did the pinup shoot, because it's fun to see some of those behind the scenes, you know, little clips and things that we have going on, because we have a lot of fun, and that was a blast of a shoot. I love that shoot, and I really can't wait to do it again. We've got a lot of ideas after doing that one. But if anybody has any thoughts or ideas, you know, if there's something you'd like to see, I did some cool things with my lighting. Unfortunately, I ended up taking it apart because I need to fix it. But I'm hoping to get a video up of that. Maybe some of you saw the pictures. Don't know if I posted them to the actual business page, but I know on my personal Facebook page I was really proud of these images that I made of a glass with really neat lighting. So I'm going to try to do a video of that with the lighting and how I did it, just because it was fun, and that really for me was a picture that I'm proud of, even though it was just a wine glass or a champagne glass. So, but again, if you guys have anything that you want to see, if any more chats that you want me to have, hopefully I'm not going to ramble on for another half an hour again. But feel free to let us know. You know, we're always up for new challenges and new things to talk about and show you, and we love what we do. So, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if anybody has anything to add to this, I'm sure I've probably missed things, and, you know, I apologize if I offend anybody by what I'm saying. It's just how I feel. You know, like I said, I like to see people happy after they walk out of a photo session. So, but I will talk to you guys again soon.